Right, guys, so the last video we determined that this was a pretty good deal for what I paid, and I appreciate your input on that. So chimed in from 65 4 channel. Mo gave us some good information, and also some of your comments. If you guys haven't watched 65 Ford, his channel has some great information on all kinds of things, even from like fixing tires to similar stuff to what I do, but definitely more to the average user. Most of my stuff is targeted to these old VWs, but I also have some videos of other kinds, and like this trailer build. So this is gonna be like a pre-build talk about what we can do, and this is where I want to see what your input is, because I don't really know that much about trailers. I do know what I need, and it's a little difficult to talk about here because a lot of people don't understand quite what I need. So this trailer is going to have two purposes. One is to carry this thing, okay? Very special needs trailer. I can't find one anywhere that would do the work, that would do the job for a reasonable price. It would be tens of thousands of dollars for something to carry this. Believe it or not, it's special. We'll go over the details a little bit later here. The other thing that I would like to carry is possibly as much as 2 VW buses on here. And the weight of a VW bus with an engine complete is like 2,300 pounds. So that's, what's that, 5,000 pounds, a little bit more maybe. And these are two 3,500 pound axles, and we can get 500 ton weight. It's funny, this thing says it's rated at 20,000 pounds, this hitch. But of course this frame isn't. So a couple good things that Mo pointed out is he said that this is a 3,500 pound or a 7,000 pound rated frame, even though he kind of gave me the idea of that. But so I don't, what my initial thought was is to cut this off and put something stronger underneath here and raise it up. That shouldn't be necessary, because even though this frame is kind of thin, it's rated for this whatever is on here. It was a camping trailer. It's actually 26 feet to the back of the bumper. The camping trailer that was on here, the total weight was up to about 7,500 pounds. This trailer, as heavy as it is, it's a toy hauler. It was rated at the same thing. It's a 7,500 pound total weight. I've loaded 5 quads in this thing, and I know I was overweight. And when I had the 5 machines in there, I actually went through I was driving down a road about 40 miles an hour, and all of a sudden I see the sign that says dip. A little too late, and I hit that sucker and literally got air. And I really thought that I was going to bend this whole trailer, you know, this whole thing, and nothing bent. This one here is a C channel that's 3/16. So it's a little stronger made, I think. I don't know, you know, is square tubing that heavy? And with that much weight in it, I did not bend the axles or anything going through that dip at that kind of speed with that much weight. I had probably had 8,000 pounds in there or more from my calculations. You know, you figure out how much your stuff weighs that you have, the 5 machines that I had in there, everything. I figured it was about I was at about 8,000 pounds, somewhere in there, overweight, and it did fine. So the concerns are, am I going to overweight this thing if I keep it long? And I don't know. So your inputs, again, really important. And this is here's the issues. These outriggers would be directly over the tires. So right here, we're at 83 inches to the frame. The frame will be over the tires. It also has these things here which give you high center issues. So you can see where I've got that thing in the middle of the tire there, And the middle of the tire over here, we're at 80 inches. So the outriggers and the frame are going to need to be above these tires. So I have to go with a deck over. There's no other way. So the height of these, okay, is 8 inches above the ground if it's level. So the other issue is if I have a really short beaver tail on this, okay, and I'm trying to bring that thing up and go over the top of these, I'm going to have a high center issue over the tires if they're even like 3 inches above. So if I shorten this trailer, I'm going to have an issue trying to get that truck on here. Because as you go up the ramps and then you go to the other part where it's level, I'm already very low. So I need a really gradual ramp going up. So there's that issue. Having a really long trailer, it'd be really a benefit. Plus it's going to have some sort of a beaver tail or dovetail, whatever you want to call it, going downward. So this will be low enough so I can have ramps and it'll go up nice and gradual. I might even need like to be where I'm backed up to like a slope to be able to get the truck on and off. It's going to be a little bit difficult when I get to the destination of where I want to take it. What I'm going to do is once I get it to the destination, so my goal is Kelly Park, okay, the show in Kelly Park in the Bay Area, which is about 480 miles from where I live. So it's a little too far to drive. So if I could get it up where it's kind of level there, and then I have a slight slope over to here, and then I park it on a level area on the trailer. And of course you got to get it with a little bit more on the tongue than in the back. So that's got to happen. So again, there's going to be two things this trailer could be used for. One is to carry that vehicle by itself. There's not going to be anything else on here. This truck would go on here by itself, nothing else. Okay, too much weight for anything else because that thing's about 4,000 pounds. All right. The other option is I might go somewhere where I can get 2 VW buses, probably lighter than the original was because they're so rusty that there's a lot of metal missing and stuff like that, and maybe no engines in them. I don't know, maybe I could put the engines inside and drive across country to go get them. Nobody's picking these things up, guys. Again, that's the option. I need to have more funds to be able to do that, so we'll see how that works out. So here's what I'm thinking. The frame that's here should hold the weight, but remember how a camper was made is it's more of like a unibody setup. So when they put down the plywood kind of does something with the structure to make it more evenly weighted on here. With a vehicle, we have 4 points, right? You have your 4 wheels. The 4 wheels will be touching down here. So the weight points will be more specific. They'll be here, so let's say, and here, okay? Or if I have the VW buses, they might be here and up there. It'll be kind of evenly spread because, again, I don't even know if they have transmissions in them or whatever. It all depends on, I'll just have to work that out. But again, the camper was more evenly weighted across this frame. And like the toy hauler is a little more like what I have there. You guys saw earlier. The toy hauler has more specific frame strength for carrying a little bit heavier stuff in the places where you end up putting those things, where this thing here is kind of designed not for hauling heavy stuff in the back of it or up into the middle. It's more of just designed to be even all over for the camping stuff or whatever, furniture and bedding and all that. So here's my thoughts. A couple of good things, you guys. Your input was really good. Again, Mo kind of got some really good information. He's done a lot of stuff like this. So is to put the axles underneath versus where they are now. That would gain me about probably about 3 inches of height. So since this frame again should be strong enough for that amount of weight, if we make it so that it evens out, I still think I want to be a little bit stronger than that. So I think you can put the axles on the other side. The thing I'm worried about is I don't know if there's a lock pin where it makes it slide back and forth. Maybe you guys can comment that below and let me know before I go and take it all apart to find out. So 2x6 square or rectangle tubing in 20-foot lengths for me in California is about $113 a stick, and those are 20-foot lengths. So, but I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, so this frame from back here to back here, do I really need to have additional strength here? I don't think I do, because where the weight's going to be, this is where my 20-foot mark is, okay? And where the weight's going to be is more over the axles, a little bit to the front, right? You always want your weight over the axles, a little bit to the front, so that you have tongue weight, so that you don't have trailer sway. So if I put the axles underneath, I don't know if that's possible yet. So, but 2x6 ones were about $100 and some odd, 115, let's just say. So if I put the axles underneath, then I won't probably even need those. I could probably get a 2x4, because the other things you guys mentioned in the first video was the center of gravity's higher. I don't necessarily need my center of gravity to be too high. This is only 20 inches off the ground at the wheel. Okay, so that's really not too bad. So if I add, even if I added 6 inches to that, we're at 28, would get us above the tire. Okay, just so you know, that's just barely above the tire. So 20, so if I added 6 inches, it would probably be too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'd be, yeah, it'd be like 26 inches. Well, right now that would be fine. But if I put the axle on the other side, which I'm going to have to do that first to find out where I end up, right? So let's just say I've got to go with a 2x4 inch, which will save me quite a bit of money. So if I put a 2x4, again, Mo kind of got me in my mind thinking the right direction, is instead of putting stuff underneath here, which would be a lot more work, put it on top. It'll do the same thing, right? So if I put a 2x4 section on here, on top of here, move the axles below, and then put it along, then if I had a little short fender on here, right, where it isn't quite a deck over, that would give me a lower center of gravity. There's a lot of other challenges here, guys. It is 10 feet tall. So to transport this, I need a low boy trailer kind of thing. So I don't know if it's exactly 10 feet. It could be 10 feet 2 inches. I need to really, get that all down to the inch. So if I brought it up another 6 inches deck height, of course, when you put the weight on it, it's going to go down a little bit. So you got to calculate all that stuff in. Say add an extra 2 inches for the weight being on there. Okay, and I brought it up to here, I would still be under 30 inches, let's say, under 30 inches above the ground. And that's 6 inches. That would put me at around 13.6 with that thing on it, which is, again, we want to be lower than 14 feet for California. I don't think I'm going to take it anywhere out of California. Maybe to Arizona, possibly. And we got a bunch of Arizona VW guys, and they have shows over there. I'd like to bring it to their shows maybe. And honestly, I think their bridges are about the same height as ours. I don't know what their height requirement is for trucks. I'll have to look into that. But in California, it's 14 feet. And at 14 feet, you have to watch your bridges. So there's no way around that, guys. There's no way I can try and, you know, make this lower. It's just no way, because the frame is going to be right here in the middle of that tire. That frame, this frame right here, the bottom rail of that frame is going to be hitting the tires, guys. It's going to hit the tires. So the suggestions were like, put ramps on there and make it go above it. High center issues, guys. I'll run into issues trying to do that. I even thought about that. So just trying to get it to go over those things with ramps. Then I'll probably end up with high center problems with the low points of these things hitting. Okay. So the parts that go underneath are very low. So there's that issue. There's not really any solution other than do a deck over or almost a deck over, which is what I'm going to try and do. Because again, this is going to be a specific trailer for this need. So I'm thinking about those 20-foot pieces coming here and then create a dovetail with the rest of it. A nice gradual dovetail, and then have my ramps come out to about right here. So I'll have a nice, easy transition for the high center issues. I know it's going to go up a little bit and then go flat. I'm not going to have a perfect transition, but if I have it go up a little bit and go flat, I might just barely clear the bottom. It's going to be really close. And that's why I wanted to keep it long. It's not just because, you know, it'd be easier if I shorten this. It would be a lot lighter. It'd be easier. But if I can make it work longer, it's going to be easier for me to load that thing. So the thing is, I've got to strengthen this and do it in a lightweight fashion. So that's the thing. Again, this frame was designed for that much weight. So what I was worried about initially was these things being too much weight for here and maybe having issues with cracking or something right here. But again, this frame was designed for that much weight. So as long as I'm not over that amount of weight, we'll be okay. So the thing I can do to keep the weight down is eliminate the width. So I could eliminate some of the width here by taking these off. Again, I can get it to the point where it's together before I paint it, weigh it, and see how much the trailer weight is. And the other thing I'm thinking I could do is stick with the very thin steel. Whatever I add here, if I use the thinner steel, the same thickness of steel that this one is, which I think is 16 gauge, that's my guess, might be 16 gauge, but if I use 16 gauge pieces above this, then they won't be that heavy, okay, and they'll still be plenty strong. By the time I add another, say, 4 inches to this frame, going all the way up, and weld it like every, you know, I could just do a stitch, like do a little weld here, a little weld there, like 2 or 3 inches of weld all the way along. It'll take a lot of time to do, but it'll definitely be stronger that way. And then put in cross tubes. So this will help with the frame going like this, right? So I'll have a higher frame, so I'll have more issues with that. But if I put in cross tubes on the top, maybe I'll only need 1.5 inches instead of these whole things above. I'm just thinking like maybe 1.5 inch tubing going across, and very pretty thin steel, so it's not too heavy, and put a lot of them. Okay, and then where the planks are, where the car goes, I'll need to have something going this direction as well. And what those will do is kind of tie the ones that are going across to each other, so there won't be all that weight on one. Now the other thing I could do is, because that thing is going to be the heaviest thing that this thing carries, I'm not putting any other cars on this trailer. It's not going to be designed for that. Let's say if I have a Toyota Corolla or something like that, and it needs to be towed if I put it in the same section where I normally would put that, it's the same weight virtually. So I could put that in the same place. I could tow something like that. That's the most I'm going to do. I'm not going to tow something heavy like this. No, this trailer is not going to be designed for that. So if I put thicker steel over the axles, so if let's say I went with 12 gauge or 14 gauge along the middle, 12 or 14 gauge along the middle section where my wheelbase is going to be there, and I put the cross ones going across, how many feet or how many inches do you think I should put them close together? So if I put heavier steel right in there, if I put a regular VW bus, the wheel weight per wheel, that's the heaviest thing this thing will carry. Maybe 2 Beetles, okay? They're not as heavy, but the wheel weight per wheel is about 500 pounds, okay? Let's just say about 500 to 600 pounds per area, all right? So how far away should those be? What gauge steel? Let you guys comment. We want to go minimal because we want to keep this trailer light, all right? So those are things I got to figure out. And, you know, I really don't know that much. The other thing I was thinking on the tongue is do the same thing I'm doing here. I'll put the, whatever it is, if I put 2x4 here, I'll add a 2x4 here to the top of here and taper it down, and then add a gusset and maybe weld it to this piece. So add a gusset here and then kind of tie that one in and do the same thing. Stitch, 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 2 to 3 inches or whatever all the way along both sides to tie those two pieces together, and then put a gusset right here to make this be a little bit stronger. This is designed for that much weight, okay? Apparently it is designed for that much weight, but I would prefer having a little bit more strength in the front, just in case I do hit a dip or something like that. At least that won't break off. That's what I don't want that to happen. So that's what I was thinking. And maybe I'm overkill on that, but tell me what your thoughts are on that as well. Now, the other thing I don't know anything about, I've transported some cars with friends' trailers or whatever, but I've never had one of my own. And what kind of tie downs and what kind of strapping setup should I have on here? So I do need to go a little bit wider, right, for the straps, or do I? I think I do. So it's going to be a higher deck. So I need to have a rail along here of some sort, or they have those tracks that you put down. Okay, those things that are the tracks. I guess I could put them along the top of this. I don't know. They kind of need to be right with the wheelbase. If you use those where the straps go over the wheel and you have those little tracks with the holes in them, I could do that. Or I could do, so like I said, I don't know anything about this stuff. Or I could probably get a sponsor to give me some wheel straps. Okay, I've looked at a couple of them. I looked at a couple of them I don't like, that I wouldn't want to use on wheels. If they have them on wheels, I wouldn't want to use them on them, because the rolling, if you rolled it back and forth, the things would just fall right off. So either put them on the frame, which is fine. I could do that on front ends of frames. I could even strap over the top. Again, I don't know. Maybe I'll end up using this to move. Maybe I'll end up moving out of California. You know, it's like, I don't know. Things are really crappy here. So, you know, maybe I'll just do that. I don't know. So that, I could use it for that too. Multi-purpose trailer. So I'm on the fence on the ends, how much more weight they'll add me. I think if I take these things off, that'll probably be a smart idea, and then just use a different, I'll have to use a different thing, because these are going to be on the bottom frame, and I'm going to have another frame that's above this. So I think having those off of that you know, definitely going to come off. The end pieces are going to come off, so I'll lop all those off. I could build it wider. You know, I could cut up a set of steel for that, or measure it all out and then put it on a scale and figure out how much it is. I'm pretty good at just looking at stuff and knowing how much it weighs. So I don't know, you know. And then get all those weights together. Again, I got to drive something up here, so I got to have pretty good steel back here. Could probably have less up there. Whatever's going to go up in the front of this is going to be much lighter. Then the reason I want this to be stronger is because that's where I'm going to drive something up. Okay, what's going to be up there is definitely going to be lighter, but I don't want to make this back of the trailer much heavier than the front. Definitely don't want to do that either. So there's that issue. So anyway, if you're thinking about what sizes I should use, maybe you've done this before, then your input would be super handy on this. So anyway, that's my ideas so far. And your input, again, I'm not going to be starting this right away, so your input would really be beneficial at this point, because again, I don't know anything about trailers, building a trailer. So anyway, all right, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please, and I don't want to do it overkill. If I do it overkill, I'll end up with too much weight. That'll be an issue. I need to do exactly what I need. Okay, talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.